VETtalk video and podcasts are proudly supported by the Animal Referral Hospital.
G'day, I'm Brian Pickering.
And I'm Kaye Browne.
And welcome to VETtalk.
Well, at long last, we're coming to you live on a Saturday, in fact, from the Animal Referral Hospital at Homebush. And our very special guest, who just also happens to be co-owner, is Dr. Sarah Goldsmid. G'day, Sarah.
G'day, nice to see you here.
And welcome to VETtalk. Thanks for having us.
No problem. Great to have you here, okay. As usual.
Now, there's a little bit of action going on in the background. We've got dogs barking and carrying on, but that's just pretty normal for...
pretty much, yeah. This is a day in the life of a vet, listening to noises.
Well, speaking of a day in the life of a vet, you obviously became a vet because of your love of animals, but
I did.
Tell us why you became a surgeon, a veterinary specialist surgeon.
It kind of just happened. So I was very lucky. When I went through, specialisation was quite unusual, and there was less than a handful of vets who were actually registered specialists in Sydney when I came through, particularly in surgery. Suddenly there was very few. And a residency program had only just started at the university just after I graduated for the first time. And when I was a very new graduate, I happened to walk into the university and see, I was visiting somebody, and I saw my old professor who knew I was keen on surgery. I liked surgery when I went through, and I was quite good with my hands, so that was useful. I was dexterous, I guess. And he said, "Oh, Sarah, would you like to do a residency?" So I was...
Bingo, hello.
That's kind of unheard of, to be honest. Yeah. People these days struggle to get to be where I am. So I'm very blessed that I was able to kind of fall into a residency. I had to apply and, do an interview and so on.
You didn't miss out on any skills though, did you?
No.
Teacher's pet, obviously.
I was very fortunate to go through that way, and I did my residency, and I had a very supportive husband and family, and despite having kids in the middle of it all, I managed to get through a residency, got through memberships and fellowship exams and a master's degree.
Wow.
But, it's 10 years of whatever commitment to get to that point. But I always loved surgery. I find doing things with my hands is much more rewarding than just giving some medication and seeing if they're going to get better. Don't tell the medicine people I said that.
Okay, no, we won't tell them.
Surgery is, I have to say, maybe more for instant gratification. It comes in broken, you fix it, it walks home. It's a nice feeling to be able to do something.
Mostly they go home fixed, but not always. It can be a bit tough.
That's true. Sometimes they don't go home fixed or don't go home, and that's pretty hard as a vet. We're here to make animals better, and that doesn't always happen, and that can be pretty emotional, and particularly, I guess, as a new vet, that's particularly hard when you first graduate and you might have the first pet die or get euthanized in your care. I remember being devastated the day that I was doing bird surgery on a friend's bird that had been badly torn by another bird, and it died under anaesthetic, and I was just mortified because I guess I hadn't had to deal with that before. And
it was a friend.
It was so close
and
as well.
because it was a friend's bird, I've learnt to be much more, I give the clients a full range of possibilities of the outcome of a case. So I will always mention possible complications, including death from an anaesthetic or surgery, because even though it's rare, if you've kind of broached that subject, they understand that that could be a possibility.
We should actually point out to people as well that the sounds in the background is not a distress.
We're not torturing.
We're not torturing anyone.
I hope.
Dogs, correct me if I'm wrong.
Maybe some of the nurses.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Sarah, but dogs, particularly coming out of anaesthetic, will often cry and howl like that. Is that right?
Yeah, sometimes if they're a bit disorientated, like a person on drugs, they might make kind of vocal noises, not necessarily because they're in pain, but because they're not really aware of what's happening around them. We do, obviously, don't like to hear them distressed, so we will do...
well, I notice people are actually going over there now.
Yeah, so if animals make a noise, we usually like to check that they're okay and make sure that they're not showing signs of pain. We're very big on pain relief here.
Absolutely.
And because we're here 24 hours, we can do that at any time. So, yeah, sometimes it does distress people. Certain breeds will particularly not like being in a cage or... Staffordshire Bull Terriers.
Okay. So all you Staffy lovers out there.
There's a few breeds that they're not actually as bad as some. So certain dogs don't cope so well with being left alone, or as soon as they go and have somebody talk to them, they're usually fine.
Now, we touched on anaesthesia just briefly then.
Yes.
A lot of people worry about older pets going under anaesthesia.
Yeah.
Should they be worried?
Anesthesia is never 100% guarantee that it's safe for people and animals. So it's important that they understand there is a risk with any anaesthetic. However, if that's the reason not to do something, because an animal's old, I would definitely say don't hold off doing a procedure that the animal needs doing just because you're scared of an anaesthetic. Because often whatever the disease process is that they're needing dealt with is far worse than the small risk of an anaesthetic, and we can minimise those risks. So we minimise them by assessing the patient really well beforehand. We listen to their chest and make sure that their heart is regular and normal sounding, no murmurs, that sort of thing. We will do blood tests to check their liver and kidney function beforehand. And if they do have disease processes that increase their risk, we let the owner know. We manage the anaesthetic differently for that reason. So there's a lot we can do to reduce the risk. So, for instance, 18-year-old cat needs to have a dental badly. That cat needs the dental. You can't not do it because it's 18 and go, oh, no, I don't want to risk it. If the cat's got dental disease and it's in pain and has infection, that's going to make its health far worse than it. There's no doubt.
And it could live for a few more years.
Oh, absolutely.
That, yeah. And they do.
The oldest cat that I ever dealt with, and there've been older ones than that, but the oldest one I ever dealt with was 23.
Wow.
And I was younger than the cat at the time. Kind of embarrassing when the patients are older than you. Yeah.
That's cool. People think of anaesthetics sometimes and they think of, Michael Jackson died from
Propofol. Yes.
There we go. So, is that what you use?
Actually, we do use Propofol quite a bit. We have other drugs that we use as well. Propofol is a fantastic drug because it's very quickly processed. So as long as you use it supervised,
unlike Michael,
yes, under medical attention. If you monitor them, it's actually quite a good drug for dogs and cats that are unwell. We use it a lot. It's quite a safe drug in the right hands.
There are some injectables as well.
There are all sorts of different injectables. So we can sedate an animal if we need to just keep it still for an X-ray. If it's not a painful procedure, that's different to whether we need to have it anaesthetised for something that's going to cause some discomfort. So
you were mentioning blood tests before, and I guess that adds to the cost of, for instance, if you've got to do an X-ray, keeping a cat, a bird, dog still. This, I guess, brings up the cost of veterinary care. A lot of people, you read on Facebook and places like, oh, my God, they're ripping us off. But, I've been working in and out of here for the last year and a half. I can see you guys bend over backwards to save costs.
Absolutely. And look, yes, it's expensive to provide medical care. We don't get any rebates from the government to do what we do. Every laboratory test, every blood test costs us significant amounts of money in the reagents and the keeping the machine going and the monitoring it and maintaining it. So, there's costs involved in doing that. And I know there's been debate in the media recently about costs of things and how do vets justify charging so much money. But we've got to make it profitable or we don't survive. And we can't keep providing the level of service that we do. And particularly 24-hour hospitals like this, where we've got costs of employing people after hours and out of hours is very expensive. And to be able to provide, an MRI could be done at 2 a.m. To be able to provide that level of service is really expensive to maintain those pieces
Absolutely.
of equipment.
And if we didn't have MRIs for animals now, the old-fashioned way would be another exploratory operation, presumably.
Or we just don't get a diagnosis.
Yep.
So animals will be euthanized or die or, have ongoing issues because we never get to the bottom of it. So being able to spend the money on the diagnostic tests is making a huge difference to finding out why animals are sick. There's a lot of diseases we missed before.
So this is where we put in the advertiser's message, get pet insurance now.
Absolutely. If I have any friends who are buying new pets, the first thing I say to them is, get your pet insured. Oh, really? Should I really bother with that? Yes.
No, we know we've had, 5 dogs now and...
Look, it's the simplest thing you can do. And look into it. There's obviously different pet insurance companies, but... you want one that will cover majority of things that, potentially you might have to deal with.
And even if they don't have pet insurance, people can also find other ways. Like you don't say, give me the money now or else we won't let your animal leave.
We offer people all sorts of options. So we do have ways of paying it off over time. We have companies that will provide that service for our clients, and that can make a huge difference. At 2 a.m. when you've got to decide if my dog needs an emergency surgery for its twisted stomach, how am I going to afford that?
Yeah. So,
it gives you an option to do that, and we can look into that online instantly at reception.
So you don't get them in to wash the floors or clean the cups in the kitchen or
That's
anything?
an idea.
I think some of the nurses would enjoy that. They've got other things that they have to wash. Terrific.
Alrighty.
Let's take a little break and we'll come back with more of Vet Talk TV shortly.
Thank you.
Any member of oncology, please contact reception. A member of oncology, please contact reception. Thank you.
And that was Dr. Sarah Goldsmid from the Animal Referral Hospital. And we had an even longer chat with her last Saturday with lots more stories and insights for you from Sarah, which will bring you in due course. She's a funny lady.
And she's a very sweet lady, very talented lady. I mean, gosh, I can't even take up my trousers with stitches, and she does amazing things in surgery. Just amazing.
Yeah, she's very, very good with a needle and thread, shall we say. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas.
Oh, no, he's singing again.
We've come a long way from how much is that doggy in the window, or have we? Now, with the majority of pet shops not selling puppies and kittens anymore, people have turned to the internet and, in some cases, rescue groups to find suitable pets for their kids for Christmas.
And for themselves.
Yeah, of course. Now, is this a good thing or not? So we thought we'd ask the voice of reason, Dr. Joe Sillince from Pets Australia, who joins us via Skype. Joe, I thought Christmas pets were a no-no.
There's a huge difference between giving a puppy and kitten for Christmas and a family choosing to get a puppy and kitten for Christmas.
Yeah.
Okay? The latter is a good idea because it's the peak pup and kit season, so there's more pups and kits than any other time of the year. And the kids have got 4 weeks to spend some time with the animal and get to know it and orient it and socialise it. And mum and dad are often on holidays too, and because the weather is hot, the animal is more likely to have a high level of care. So it's a way of getting it oriented into family life before school starts, and then you talk about how to transition through to school and work.
So then what happens when kids go back to school, mum and dad go off to work?
That's a transition process, okay? So that happens towards the end of January usually when dad and mum go back to work or perhaps have already gone back to work. And the kids are going to, late holiday season, holiday care, or they're getting ready to go back to school. And you've got a young animal that's used to having people around it, which is fantastic. It's well socialised. But what we need to do is get it used to longer and longer periods by itself. Now, assuming that you haven't that there's no other animal in the house, or that you haven't bought 2 kittens together, which is always recommended, if you've got that happening and you've got 2 animals in the house or more, then you'll find the transition is almost seamless because the animals will pick up where the children left off. But it's really important that you get the children into the habit of getting home after school, having afternoon tea and spending between half an hour and an hour with the new puppy or kitten. Not only is that really, really good for the child because it stops them getting near a screen, but it tells the animal that, yes, human contact is normal. Yes, we have a half an hour to an hour a day, so it's good for the children and the animal. Where you've got a single animal, like just one puppy or one pet kitten and it's all alone in the house, then you've got to get it used to over probably a 2+ week period to longer and longer periods by itself. So what you do is you have a special group of toys or a different group of toys every day or a different group of toys every few days, and they are only put down to play with when we're all leaving. I use a treat, but a treat that's not a high-calorie treat. So I'll give a bone that's way too big for Puppy to handle because that means Puppy can't swallow bone, but he can have a wonderful time pushing it around and licking it forever.
As long as it's outside.
Or one of those really hard-baked biscuit things like a 4x2 like they use on farms. That's designed to keep Puppy occupied for ages. Again, for a kitten, you can use one of those toys that you put treats in that the kitten has to play with for the treats to fall out, just a few treats. But the idea is that the animal is well occupied at the time when you leave, and then puppies and kittens, after they've had a play session, will normally sleep. So that helps get over that transition period. And again, when you get home, you make a point of spending between half an hour and an hour to reorient them. One other trick that's really useful is when you get home, Don't do the big rah-rah, oh my God, it's nice to see you stuff. Okay, because puppy or kitten will do that. And the correct way to greet them is to say, well, hello, nice to see you, and then get around and, get changed or whatever you do when you get home for a few minutes.
It's so hard, isn't it, though? It's like, oh!
Mine get a few pats, but they don't get that rah-rah,
Yeah.
We try not to, but with this little rescued toy poodle, she's a little monkey. In fact, she's jumping on us right now and smiling.
And again, that's fine. They can do that. But you don't get into the rah-rah until you're ready, because at the end of the day, you're the pack leader.
Yeah, exactly.
And pack leader plays when pack leader chooses. But the beauty of doing that is it tends to avoid or help avoid separation anxiety later.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and the other thing, you can get these cool collars now. Adaptil is one of them, and Sentry's another, that actually help with pheromones. So we've actually got one of those on little Chica at the moment, because she was getting a little too excited and a little too anxious.
Kaye's thinking of putting one on me.
Those products are simply amazing. I've had so many reports of excellent results. They're a natural product. They work very subtly. They do work. And they're used now in a number of grooming salons and boarding kennel waiting rooms and veterinary waiting rooms. And you'd be surprised the number of reports that we've had that it works on the men in the practice as well.
Oh. Well, but not the girls. Well, that's interesting, isn't it?
The girls that normally give me the response, so would they admit it? I don't know.
I'd like to say this was a paid announcement. It's not, but it could be.
It could be.
Joe, just one final thing. You're talking about kids. I was thinking about the young kids next door. They got some cavies, and they spend a little bit of time picking grass and dandelions and all the rest of it for the cavies, which seems to be a good thing. They're spending a bit of time with those guinea pigs. And there was a program that ran through the schools where they went around and they taught the kids, how to behave around dogs in particular.
There was an AVA program called Pet Pep.
That's the one.
Which ran for many years. Look, it is a very, very good program. I'm shattered that some of the schools have stopped it, because it has a very strong relationship with reducing bites and scratches. And it's all about teaching children to respect animals, not just to love them. And there is an RSPCA program as well, which runs in some schools. The problem that we've got is that the primary school curriculum is very, very crowded. But there are other places that you can go to learn to learn and to teach your kids how to handle animals with respect.
Yeah.
We're actually looking at developing one right now.
Oh, excellent, for Pets Australia. Great.
Which will then act as a supplement to puppy school.
Right.
So puppy school's about teaching the puppy some stuff and teaching the owners some basic stuff, but this is the next level up.
Yeah. I guess in schools, you've got sex education, religion education, then you've got, the 3 R's and all the rest of it.
Sport?
And sport, yes. Animals, sadly, come last.
Actually, it's not necessarily been the case. The Pet Pet program was actually integrated into the curriculum.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So when you did your 3 R's, you did it on puppies, kittens and parrots. So, you'd work out how many dogs can you feed with this amount of food, for example, to do your maths. So there was some really good stuff in there that could be integrated into the curriculum. But it's really a matter of teachers adopting this stuff into their lesson plans, and frankly the teachers have been pretty flat out. And there's now a lot of pressure on 3 R's courtesy of NAPLAN and other things. So it may be that the Pet Pet program needs a rewrite, or that, we bring in some external courses that let kids have fun with pets and learn at the same time.
Fantastic. Well, as always, some great advice and insight into what's happening within the pet sector. Dr. Joe Sillince, who is Director of Pets Australia. Thanks for joining us again on VETtalk.
Nice to chat.
Now, if you ask most people what's the best method to train a dog or a horse, I'm pretty sure they'd say positive training methods, as opposed to what's been called negative reinforcement. There's plenty of dog trainers around who use one or the other, and often they'll argue about which way is best.
Oh, yes, and they do argue from time to time, I can assure you of that. So, to the average pet owner, though, like me, it can actually be very confusing. That is, until I managed to have a chat with Dr. Andrew McLain, who just happens to have a PhD in equine cognition and learning, and also runs the Australian Equine Behaviour Centre down in Victoria. And yes, even if you don't own a horse, this story will enlighten you about the two main training methods as I pose the question to Dr. Andrew,
Can you explain the difference between positive and negative reinforcement?
Yeah, I can. I mean, that's the biggest crime in behavioural science in terms of nomenclature was calling negative reinforcement, and positive reinforcement, because it gives the impression that one's good and one's bad. And there are very good aspects of positive reinforcement, there's no doubt about that, but there's also problems if you do it badly. But negative reinforcement is not about bad, it's just defined as the removal of an aversive stimulus to reinforce a certain response. And positive reinforcement is just the addition. So one's about addition and one's subtraction. So they're coined in the mathematical terms. Yeah. But the thing is, they're both really valid, because aversive control is very much part of an animal's life. And when you have people riding horses and you want to make it safe, you do need to have some control where in a very aversive situation that suddenly arises, you know, the horse is ridden along the road and a car backfires and the horse runs, you do need some control of the stop button with the reins. And if you train it very well, you've got it. And, you know, we know that's been happening for 4,500 years since the horses were first used in battle in Mesopotamia. So but in good situations, the horse will stop. So if you work on training negative reinforcement very well, so it's always reduced to just the lightest touch of the signal, then it just simply becomes something very different and it doesn't look like punishment. And it should look like that. And then you add positive reinforcement as part of the way of making it beautiful and making it something the animal really wants to do.
Fantastic. I can see you're very passionate about the topic, which is wonderful. I hope we can catch up again sometime soon.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's enjoyable. Thank you.
And a big thank you to Dr. Andrew McLain from the Australian Equine Behaviour Centre. It makes a lot of sense, don't you think?
He does, absolutely. And that example he gave about the car backfiring and you're on a horse, you know, you've got to be able to control it somehow. You could get injured and the horse could get injured.
Absolutely. That's a tonne of weight that could cause a lot of damage.
And now it's time for all the latest pet and animal news from across Australia and around the world with Kaye Browne.
I love that intro. Hey, there was a little 7-month-old Shar-Pei puppy called Henry dog-napped from out the front of a Sydney cafe this week. However, happy to say quick work by police resulted in the very expensive pooch being found right beside the front door of a house not very far from the Newtown cafe where he was taken from. Henry then ended up back in the arms of his rather distressed but happy owner. Now, the police also charged a 42-year-old man from Camperdown with larceny. That's stealing, by the way. And he's been bailed to appear in court in January, so we'll keep an eye on that one. I guess this is a timely reminder when we're all busy getting ready for Christmas. Don't leave your dog tied up outside a shop.
Especially a cute little puppy. Shar-Pei puppies are gorgeous.
They are adorable and very, very expensive. So it's just putting temptation. It's like leaving your handbag tied up to a pole outside a shop.
I don't leave my handbag outside.
Okay, I'll believe you. Now, in the United States, scientists are predicting that one of their patients, a 3-year-old domestic short-haired cat called Vincent, will soon be leaping onto couches, countertops, other high places that he'd like to visit. And you're probably thinking, well, big deal. You know, all cats do that. Why is this Vincent so special? I'm about to tell you. He is the feline equivalent of a superhero thanks to his high-tech titanium legs.
Wow.
There have been some amazing advances in prosthetics for humans, but until recently, there were only about 24 animals right around the world that actually had the benefit of artificial limbs. However, thanks to the advent of 3D printing and some very clever orthopaedic veterinary specialists at Iowa State University, the team was able to replace Vincent's deformed little back legs and replace them with rather short-looking, stumpy prosthetics. Well, they're pretty cool. Now, Vincent can stroll around the facility with ease and eye up all the high vantage points that he'll finally be able to reach once they give him his next set of legs. They'll actually be longer ones and match his front legs.
Oh, okay. So they kind of keep growing them a little bit over several operations. We'll have to ask Dr. Sarah Goldsmid from Animal Referral Hospital about
prosthetics for cats and dogs.
Yeah. Fantastic.
Pretty cool.
Great.
And lastly, we often like to alert you to entertaining videos that have gone viral on the internet, but you should be warned that some of the most popular ones going around right now feature a bird called Eric, and which should come with an R18 warning.
Oh, I know Eric, yes.
You see, Eric swears. He actually swears a lot. In fact, you could be forgiven for thinking that Eric was trained by a drunken sailor on shore leave. Now, even Eric's owner, who made the videos, can't control him.
Eric! stop fighting with the dog. No, stop spitting at the dog.
Well, we won't tell you exactly what Eric says next, but he clearly spells out his opinion of the dog, and it's not at all flattering. So if you're feeling brave, you can see and hear Eric on the YouTube channel just by typing in the words "Eric is a naughty boy" in the search panel. Do it at your own risk.
Well, I was going to say you might also come up with some other stuff there, so I think we might just put the link on our page, just to save people any other embarrassment.
Well, we can't put the whole thing there. It's naughty. He is a naughty boy.
I am lost for words, finally.
That's our news wrap-up for this week. I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll catch up with you next week.
You sure will, and in fact it'll be the last one before the Christmas break that we're doing. However, we have created, and we are creating, our huge team of production people in the background here.
Hello, team, work harder.
We're going to do some best of, so we'll bring you the best of some of the vet talks that we've done over the past sort of 6 months or so.
Fantastic. And when Brian says we, he means him. I didn't do a thing.
Harder.
Thanks for joining us again, and if you like what we do, please tell a friend. If you don't, get in touch with us and let us know. Also, let us know whatever stories you would like, and don't forget you can subscribe via iTunes, absolutely free, or just go to our website, vettalkradio.com.au, and if you want to keep updated by email, just click on the subscribe link, which is actually on the page.
Cool. And by now, the lucky winners of our Advocate Cat giveaway should have received their products from the lovely people at Advocate. We passed on the names of the 5 lucky winners. Hopefully their pussycats are now enjoying that treat. We hope to have some more giveaways for you, but till next week, this is Kaye Browne signing off.
And I'm Brian Pickering. See you.